A little alert. Well, no, right on time. Nice. So I haven't been alone online for a while on this podcast, so I feel kind of naked. Feels good. If anybody's got any questions or anything you guys want to talk about, go ahead. Shoot. I'll just wait a little bit till a couple people get online. I'll get the chat thing all ready. So I guess a couple announcements. I'll talk about. Let's see. Yeah, for June, the month of June, I was thinking about. Since the times have been tough lately, also for me, uh, for group coaching. If anybody wants to sign up for group coaching for the month of June, I'll make it $75 an hour. I mean, an hour. Yeah, right. $75 a month. It's 4 sessions, but since the classrooms aren't huge, you can do you can do extra sessions for free. So it's what I usually have going is Mondays at 9 a.m. This is Eastern time, 9 a.m. Um, what else? 3 p.m. and then Wednesdays at 5 p.m. all Eastern time. The Mondays at 3, depending how many people I have in that class, I like to post on YouTube just so you guys are aware. Some people like sharing because it does help people, right? Um, so yeah, $75 for the month, and you get to be with a supportive group, a loving supportive group. It's fun, and you know what? 5, 10 heads are better than one. You learn a lot. You learn a lot quicker, and you get the reassurance you need. You get the support, and you actually move forward quicker. So if you're interested, email me and let's do it up. So that's for June. What else did I want to talk about? I think yeah, I got Dan Buglio coming up in June. I didn't bring my calendar. I forgot my calendar. Dan Buglio. I got Jim Prusak. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Jim Prusak's also coming in June. I'm gonna host him, and he's gonna host me. So that'll be fun. I got Tolan, Mrs. Tolan, Rebecca Tolan. I have her next week. I think Thursday, right? So there's gonna be a lot of fun stuff coming up. I got Colin. I think next week Sunday. So make sure you tune in. I'll have a post with all the dates so you guys can um, write them down and make sure to join and ask some questions. And some of them will be Zoom, but there's the other ones will be like Dan Buglia will be on here live podcasts. This is where you come in, you ask your questions, and then we have some fun. All right, so what were some things that I didn't really have any topics, but I thought, I'd get online and see if there's anybody that wanted to talk about anything. But I wrote some down last minute. Um, okay, yeah. So what I noticed is, if anybody's into EFT fast tapping, I don't know if anybody's heard of that, where um, it's like a faster version of the tapping. So the way they do it, and I see a lot of similarities. Oh, here we go. Uh, okay, I'll hit you up in a second. I'm just going to cover this topic, and then I'll start answering some questions, and we'll hit up some more topics. I wanted to talk about the carnivore diet and why it works, and the reasons for it, and the similarities, and then I want to talk about tapping and the similarities with tapping and my turbo exposure. So tapping, it's the way they describe it is, you let's say you have some sort of pain or symptom in your body. What you do is you bring it up, you expose yourself to it, and you kind of feel whatever's there. If it brings you back to a memory or whatever, you bring up the memory, you feel it, and then you start tapping in a certain order in certain places, right? I forget what I think it was here, or one at a time, something like that, and then here. That feels kind of good. And then you go here, and then you go like this, and you hold, and you go peace, and at the end you think of a thought, a feeling, a place that brings you peace, right? So so with that, they usually say that, hey Zeus, how's it going? Happy Friday, Angela. Awesome. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to talk about, shoot. Um, so yeah, so what they're saying is, well, what happens is when you tap, you're hitting a meridian field, and it activates certain parts of your nervous system, and then it activates the vagus nerve, which makes things go away. It's like amazing. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of similarities with exposure, um, turbo exposure on turbo, because what tapping really is, if you think about it, because I used to use it because there was times I was looping on certain thoughts and nothing. This is when I was still resisting, right? I was still trying to distract. I was trying to, right, try to be in the present moment to hide from my thoughts. I was trying to get away from, really just get away, doing a lot of this at the time. And this is when what you resist persists. It's like, don't think about purple tigers as hard as you can. You're gonna have a massive purple tiger. And that's what was happening with me until I started to learn to allow the thoughts, let them do their thing, ask for more, lean into them, take away the resistance, right? Instead of doing this, we acknowledge the alarms, because what's the point of an alarm? It's to be acknowledged, to be heard, right? And because the brain is trying to protect you, right? It's sending you alarms to perceive danger. It thinks, oh yeah, I cut my thumb today. I was cutting tortillas and it slipped. And it's interesting, when I cut myself, it was bleeding and there was a lot of pain. It was like, and I haven't cut myself in years. And then when I did that, I said, you know what? I'm going to allow the pain, right? I'm going to ask for more. And it actually went away quicker. Interesting. I was like, give me more, give me more. And I actually concentrated on a different part of my hand, and this pain went down by a lot. So anyway, I'm all over the place. So with the tapping and the exposure, what you're doing is you're going towards something, you're allowing it to be there, and then you're engaging with the tapping, right? You're moving forward, and then you go back to that thought, and they usually ask you, like, if you see some of these tapping gurus, they're like, all right, where are you at right now? What number are you at? I'm at a 10. Are you triggered? Yeah. Okay, sit in that fear, right? Allow it to be there, and then start tapping right now. So people are start tapping, right? They're like, okay, uh, okay. All right, how do you feel? Is it still at a 10? What number are you at? 9.5. All right, keep tapping. So they keep tapping over and over and over again, right? Exposing over and over again until eventually that alarm has been exposed and you become indifferent to the alarm and it turns off. So it's the exact same thing that we do with the turbo exposures. We, right, with my turbo exposures, I talk about what scares me, symptom, yeah, symptom. symptom, thought, or feeling, whatever it is, you record it, a little paragraph in detail, what it is that scares you, right to the root, right? Go crazy, scare the shit out of yourself, right? Like a little paragraph. Get really detailed, right? Get right to the root. Let's say it's I'm afraid of fields, right? I'm just gonna randomly, right? I'm afraid of fields. Well, then, okay, let's do exposure on turbo. So I would get my phone, right? I would press record and I go, all right, I'm afraid of fields because I'm afraid that if I walk into a field, I'm gonna get bitten by 10 ticks, and then I'm not going to know about it too much, but I'm going to ruminate on it, suffer, and I'm going to start getting symptoms. I'm going to have Lyme disease, and I'm going to be like bedridden, and I'm going to start this whole process all over again, and I'm going to have to do brain retraining again, and then I'm going to be stuck another 3 years, and it's going to suck, and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to, right? Everything with me, my alarms has to do with usually suffering and death. So anything to do with starting over again is one of my fearful thoughts that I was going through at the time. So yeah, you describe it just like that in a paragraph, and you say it 10 times, right? So I'm scared of going in the field because I think I'm gonna get bitten by a tick because I think blah, 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 blah. All right, I'm scared because of fields because of blah, 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 the tick blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm scared of going in the fields because of blah, 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 right? So you repeat it, you say it 10 times. Right after the 10th time, you like the 10th time, you're almost saying it like you're mumbling it and it doesn't even make sense anymore, but you're saying it, and then you sit in the fear of it because you triggered yourself, right? You're at a 10. You ask yourself, where am I? I'm at a 10, right? Especially after the first time you say it, you're at a 10. And you might, by the 10th time that you say it, you might come down to an 8 already. So you sit in the fear, you allow it to be there, you don't white knuckle through it, right? You don't survive through it. You're almost done. One more time, fucking right. You allow it to be. You drag it out a little bit longer. You sit in the fear a little bit longer, and then you engage. You're cutting the grass. You're doing your routine. You're continuing on with your day, and then a couple hours later, you press play. You listen to it again. You trigger yourself, and you might notice you're at a 9.5, or maybe even at a 7, right? And you do that a couple of times, 3 times a day, until eventually you go to a 3, 2, 1, 0, and then meh, right? Aaron Neville, meh, nah, 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 right? And you become indifferent to it, and you turn that alarm off. And when you do that, when you go towards things, sure your baseline goes up a bit. Sure you take 5 steps back, and you'll have symptoms come up. But that's what you want. You're opening that door. You're exposing yourself to that alarm, and when that alarm rings, it brings up feelings, symptoms, and it brings up emotions, the whole shebang. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like shit. You're gonna feel like shit. But that's how we move forward in leaps and bounds, right? The more you expose, the more you feel like shit. Generally, these are golden opportunities to change the programming, the old programming to the new program, right? So it's how you, if you want to send a message of safety, is how you do it in the danger, right? It's the classic uh, line that I've been trying to repeat in all my videos. So that's the relation with fast tapping and turbo exposures. And I use turbo exposures almost every day because there was a point where I had the OCD looping thoughts constantly. It was relentless. And every day my brain would pick another scary thought to loop on, right? So on a Tuesday, like I had a menu, rotating menu. So Tuesday was different than Wednesday, and I had to get into my routine, right? So because my brain would hijack my brain, and I had to get into the zone of my visuals, and sometimes it was, too sticky. So I had to do some turbo exposures on that particular item for that day, right? And I would do it for whatever, 15 minutes, and then I'd be like, all right, it's in half. I can start getting into my visuals. I can get into the flow of things, right? And in the brain, I'd be like, and you can sit on my shoulder while we're doing visuals. I'm not gonna distract or cut you off because at the end of the day, it's all about taking away the resistance. We're not doing stop, stop, stop. We're not doing, redirect, ignore, distract. None of that because that creates an inner battle, right? What you resist persists, and when you have an inner battle with yourself, right? it brings up the baseline. And when you bring the baseline up, you're in a survival state, right? Your alarm's on full on, right? It's releasing the hounds, it's got the barbed wire going, and it's releasing alarms. And then you're in a stuck in a loop of alarms that we don't like. All right. So let's take some questions. Let's see here. I remember I used to do an impersonation of a robot puking. I forget how I did. Okay, I know that this histamine intolerance that I apparently have had since a kid, but very unnoticeable, just a stuffy nose that got worse after COVID, is TMS. 100%, of course. I show indifference, but it returns. Okay, but usually uh, people say they show indifference, but they don't really. It's not authentic because it's something, indifference is something that you graduate to, right? Trying to do indifference right away in the beginning, usually with symptoms, especially when symptoms trigger you and they scare the shit out of you, it's hard to be indifferent right away because the brain, the amygdala, is going to take over. It's already, you got flash fear, you're already scared. You're like, right? So it's something you graduate to, something you build leverage to. So in the beginning phases, usually you experience the symptom, you fall on your face a bunch of times, you catastrophize here and there because we're human. I'm going to be realistic. This is what happened to me. Whenever I got a new symptom or an old one returned, I would catastrophize. Catastrophize. That would be a wicked item on a menu. I'll have the catastrophize with extra sour cream and chives. Anyway, so you go through this process of, you catastrophize, you ruminate, you try to figure out, but eventually you try to catch it, and it goes away and then it comes back, right? Or it just stays, and eventually, also using turbo exposures, you get used to it, right? And that's how you build your leverage. You go towards it, you ask for more, right? You take the 5 steps back, you get more triggered, the symptom gets more intense, right? The more we do that off and on repeatedly, the more we build indifference, right? Um, so with Carolina, when she's talking about how it got a lot worse after COVID, and she knows it's TMS, and she shows an indifference, but it's still there. That means she's not indifferent. That means she's still telling the brain, well, we're looking for it. Like, right? So it's like you got to be at a point. You got to be able to ask yourself this question: am I okay for to have this histamine intolerance for another 2 years? And if it still drives up a little bit of a stress response, that means you're not indifferent. So you still need to do exposure towards it, right? You still got to gain that leverage of indifference. You got to be at a point where you're living life fully and you don't give three shits if you have histamine reactions to foods or whatever it is, where it becomes your buddy. Where when you have a histamine reaction, you're almost glad that it's there because um, it gives you some sort of reassurance because you're used to it. You know it's a friend, it's the enemy that you know instead of the one that surprises you and you don't know where you don't know what's going on. So it takes time. Get to the point of really being indifferent and be okay with it being there. Because for me, there was certain symptoms that would uh, stick around, hang around, and also start bringing down your baseline. I know the TMS world, they don't really talk about loads or baselines, bringing them down because over time, right? Over time, our loads start to add up. Our allostatic loads start to add up, and then something's got to give. We have symptoms usually around here, right? So you're living life, blah, 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 shit. It throws you curveballs, right? You're with that narcissist boyfriend for 4 years. You had surgeries. You had a toxic work environment. Your boss is a fucking shithead. What else? You had surgeries. You're on a lot of medications, and you fill in the blanks. You're a heavy smoker. You drank for 15 years, and then it starts to build up, and boom, you're at the capacity, right? And the brain goes, all right, baseline's at 1,000. We're perceiving that there is a liger on your back because you were in a toxic relationship for 4 years, and that's going to be our survival program. And we're at capacity with our loads, right? You're not releasing anything, so we got to start. We can't process some of these foods, but we got so much work to do. Plus, you're getting flus and everything. We're keeping you alive. That's our main job, is to keep you alive. We don't care if you suffer. Other things become less important. So you know what? We got to start cutting back on the foods. We're going to give you a histamine tolerance. We're going to give you a food sensitivity, right? Because we're at capacity. So this way, we don't let foods in, but we let everything out. We're going to have lockdown. So all of a sudden, you have sensitivities, right, to certain things, because the brain does not want to overwork itself to regulate certain things. Because it's like, dude, we're in a survival state. We're just here to keep you alive. The rest of this shit doesn't matter to us. So that's what happens. And with TMS, uh, usually the gist of it is feel your feelings and go back to living life fully. Sure, that turns off some alarms, but all you're doing is you're moving loads, right? It's like you're in a hoarding house and you're like, okay, we need a pathway to the washroom, so let's just move some of the garbage to the baby room, and that'll be it, right? When technically what you should be doing is cleaning out the house, emptying your bucket, bringing your baseline down, and turning off alarms, right? And you do this by um, doing exposure, allowing the thoughts, bringing your baseline down in those ways, allowing, visualizing, sitting in dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, right? And also doing sessions where you're having playtime, elevating, uplifting your mood, right? That brings the baseline down, and eventually, when you're back to reset, right, standby, you hardwire that in as your new baseline, and then foods eventually go poof, 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 right? And for me, foods is one of the last things to go. So it's a combination of all these things. You got to be working on your baseline and your loads, emptying those loads, right? And and also you have to really expose yourself to the indifference, and that takes time. For me, foods was one of the last things to go. Right now, I eat everything. Now I eat almost too much. Now I got a bit of a gut because I love food and I eat chili every fucking day. I love chili, right? It's amazing. It's addictive. I love the heat, and I couldn't even think about chili 3 years ago. And for me, foods had different weight capacities, load capacities. Like tomato, forget it. Cucumber, okay, I could introduce I could introduce cucumber quicker than tomato, of course. So when you're doing foods and you're training on foods, try to introduce foods that are easier on the spectrum, and you should know what they are for you. Generally, it's the same for everybody, but some people it's a little different, right? My beef and rice, somebody else would react to, and some people could eat, you know, usually not tomato, but I mean, some people could eat something that I would react to. But generally, most people couldn't do avocado, fish, food that was in the fridge for a day. They couldn't do the tomato. They couldn't do the pizzas, the gluten, even the chicken and the pork, right? Generally, I saw a pattern where most people couldn't handle that stuff. So I hope that kind of gives you a bit of a window of what else you need to work on. Happy Friday, yes, Angela, awesome. Zeus, hello, helmet. Symptoms jumping around. Good. That's what we want. New pain on right side. Good. Did you have any symptoms? Always. It was like a whack a mole game, right? In the DNRS world, that's what they say. It's like playing whack a mole, right? Symptoms move around. New symptoms come. They scare the shit out of you. And then old symptoms have a return policy, right? They come and they're like, oh my God, I'm back, right? And then you're like, it freaks you out because you're like, I thought we got rid of you. I thought I was indifferent to you. Obviously, I'm not. Why are you back? Am I starting from the beginning? Doubt, 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 doubt. Right? So, and sometimes you get symptoms that were gone 10 years ago and they make a weird comeback. It's like you go through all the hallways of this building and you're opening doors of the brain, right? All these doors, there's cobwebs, right? And then you're doing your work, but then there's like this hidden basement that you forgot about that you never go to. And then the brain decides to open these doors and it goes, hey, what about this? What are we doing with this? Are we throwing shit out? And then you go, holy fuck, I totally forgot about it. There's my old bike. My goodness, there's some of my old toys, right? So then it's like, well, what are we doing? All right, let's clean this out. That goes in the garbage. Let's keep that. Let's clean this up. There's cobwebs everywhere. So, you're going through all the layers of the onion, and you're going to be opening doors that you forgot were there. right? You're gonna go up to the attic and open some shit up there, and you're gonna be surprised what you see there. And there might be some rat piss, cat shit. You gotta clean it up. And it's these are all golden opportunities to totally right customize who you really want to be. So think of them as opportunities, and this is very normal. Here I'll show. I'll post your. Okay, it should show up. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Does turbo exposure work for weight gain, inability to lose weight? I'm just confused. I'd give me more with it, but then I do also talk about how you're afraid of it with it. Turbo. Yeah, the weight thing, I'm still trying to figure it out. I know the limbic system and our fear and our programming has a lot to do with weight because the body likes to either you're skinny because you're in a state of fight or flight, and then you go through this period where you're back to recovery where you're able to eat, so you take advantage of it. And then a lot of people that recovered, they've gained 30 pounds, and that was me. Well, not maybe not 30, but like 20 pounds, right? Actually maybe 30 totally, because I went from 220 down to 170 during my recovery phase. I looked good, not in my face. I looked stressed, but I mean, from the distance, if you were kind of like this, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, he looks good." And my mom was like, "Elmo, you look good. Wow, you look good." I'm like, "I don't feel. I feel like shit." And then I recovered, and then right, I started eating. There was no rules. I was like, you know, returning back to food was magical. It was the best feeling in the world. I could eat everything. I could eat every cookie, it was Christmas time. I ate everything, chocolate out the ass. My teeth never hurt. I never had sensitivities anymore, and it was weird because I was eating all kinds of things and nothing hurt anymore. So right, and then during this process of eating like Chinese food, um, pizzas all the time, like spaghetti. I was not able to eat pizzas for like 2.5 years. So then I went on this food journey, celebration of food, every restaurant, junk food, you name it, and I picked up some bad habits along the way. So that's something I'm still working on, but I know the limbic system and the programming that we have has a lot to do with it. Just same with fasting, and um, there's certain mechanisms, survival mechanisms that are in there that I'm trying to open up and to see what happens. But I'm not confident in it yet, so I'm experimenting, and we'll see how it goes. I just whistled there. That was funny. Okay. Kevin, buff. I'm having trouble walking more due to muscle tension in chest, neck when walking. Any suggestions to ease or just power through? I had muscle. For me, it was this is how I explain it. When you're in a state of fight or flight, you're not absorbing nutrients, you know, the best because your brain is your body's just there to protect you. That's it, right? So you're not working with ease. The body's not going. So muscle for me, a lot of muscles fatigued quickly, very quickly. Like if I were to paint, just for 5 minutes, my hand would be sore for like 3 days. If I were to, even walk up the stairs a little bit, I would have stabbing pains in my legs. I would have twitching, major twitching. I was like, oh my God. So I would catastrophize that I had these crazy diseases because of that. Um, my muscles would fatigue so fast. My calves would get numb. They'd have hot sensations, tingling. So my calves, my ankles, um, my chest, all of a sudden it felt like I did 1 hour of hardcore chest. What do you call those things? When you're on, like this, and you're going like 150 pounds. It felt like I did that for a half an hour, and this would just be me in the shower, just washing myself, and I'd be like, "Oh man, what's going on? What's going on with my chest?" So I brought a lot of weird sensations, right? Also, I was at work and I would be using a grinder, so I'd be putting food in a grinder and I would push it down. Within 30 seconds, my shoulders and arms would be so heavy and fatigued. I was like, "Fuck, man!" And I would test this out, like at home. I'd be like, "Okay, am I dealing with muscle fatigue this week?" So I would get like a couple boxes and I would hold them up just barely, and they'd be like, "Oh, yep, dealing with that again." That was a couple years ago, like I'd say 5 years ago, and this is when I didn't know it was a mind body thing, right? But this also tells you where you're sitting at, right? This gives you a little window of, well, you got more work to do. So make sure you do the program. Make sure you're doing all the key elements to recovery every day. Don't miss a day. Do your visuals, get out there, do movement, walk. And it's not necessarily that you're powering through, just do it with a routine, right? Don't put your symptoms on a pedestal. Allow the pain to be there, ask for more, right? Let it do its thing, but engage, right? So we're not resisting. We're allowing the pains to be there because that's what happened to me. I'd have pains, and sometimes I'd have pains for no fucking, they didn't make any sense, right? I'd be walking, all of a sudden, my brain wanted to sabotage me and say that, yo, your foot, it's gonna have blistering pain. I'm like, okay, so I'd walk anyway, resume activity as normal, and it would linger on for like almost a week. I was like, what the? I'm like, I don't care. I'm walking. There's nothing. I'm walking, buddy. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna walk even more, right? And then it finally let off, right? So you're gonna see this with symptoms. You're gonna go through the hard parts of it, but you're gonna see the patterns. You're gonna see how it works like clockwork, right? And then right when you think you figured it out, it fucks around with you because it needs to find ways to get your attention. So it's very smart because it's you. It knows you, right? Because it's you. And it's weird because I used to think, now my brain ain't that smart. I know, like I'll just whisper what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and walk, and it's gonna go away, and my brain won't know, right? No, it knows. It knows you because it's you. It's not like your brain is a dumber version of you, and you're able to kind of like, you know, do some signals and get away with shit, right, behind its back. No, it's there. It's doing this. It's watching you. There's a surveillance system going on. It's watching you, smelling you. It's smelling danger, watching danger. It's hearing what you're saying and thinking, right? That's its job. It's supposed to be up in your face, up and in you. My brain's up in me. Oh, okay, right? So that's what it's designed to do. It's supposed to know everything that you're thinking constantly because it's got to keep you alive and it's got to, make sure you're not close to danger. So, yeah, make sure you watch my videos, watch and do the training every day, never miss a day because we're going to bring that baseline down. And when you have a symptom, let it do its thing. Don't try to figure it out, analyze, don't Google. Let it do its thing. Give it a space, give it the home to be there. Ask for it to come back next week. Say, you know what? I want you to be here for all of June. Because what that does, some people are like, well, why would you ask it to be here for June? It's because we're really trying to get rid of the resistance. Because when you stop resisting, your baseline is finally able to calm down. And when that happens, the alarms start to die out and turn off. And then you start to rewire a new baseline of safety, right? So it's like I said earlier, it's how you sit in the danger that sends the messages of safety. Sound like Paul McCartney there for a sec. Um, so yeah, allow it to be there, let it do its thing, and get to know it. You're gonna, gain leverage the more you go through this, and stick to the path. Thanks for bringing the humor, Helmet. Oh, thanks, Angela. Was rewatching one of the last week's session and laughing my head off. Feels so good to laugh. Oh, but I enjoy doing this, and that's my goal, is to cut the monster in half, right? So people can see like I'm just an average Joe, right? I don't know all the science behind all this stuff. Like I used to know some of it. I used to know all the fancy words and everything, but I forgot all about that stuff because I recovered and didn't care anymore, right? And even though then I didn't know all this shit, and I still don't. But I get the gist. I recovered 70 symptoms. I get the gist of it, and that's all that matters. Everything else is irrelevant, right? And I like to bring it down to an average Joe level, right? Because I think if people see a guy with two dogs in his truck talking about his journey of recovery in detail, what I went through, in the trenches, not just okay. So this is what you do. You just here's the program. That's $5,000. Oh my God, I need a new roof, right? So yeah, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get a new pullover here. It's gonna be great. So here's the program. Okay, have a good day. See you later. I gotta go. Right? No, with me, it's like, okay, I'm here in the trenches. I'm gonna describe to you what happened when I did this and that, and in detail. And people 9 times out of 10 are gonna be like, "Fuck, I feel the same thing." Okay, people want evidence along the way, along the journey, because if you have evidence and you see the guy going through what you're going through, you're more likely to believe that you can recover, and you're more likely going to be more motivated to stay on the path and do the work, because you're I'm constantly showing you evidence and how to get to recovery, compared to some guys like, okay, so when the cells, the T cells are minus, so you have to go, well, you're gonna have to get this vagus nerve mechanism to tap into here, right? People believe in that, right? Oh, what supplements do I take? Here's my money. Here's my money. That sounds complicated. I like complicated, right? And I know complicated sounds, it sells better, right? When you feel complicated, you want a complicated solution, right? But when you feel complicated and you see a guy in a truck with two dogs, it doesn't sell as good until he starts talking about how he's in the trenches with you. Then you're like, oh my God, that's how I feel. Oh my God, right? So there's a huge difference. One person that's never been through it, that gets paid an arm and a leg, and one person that's been through it, that looks like the guy next door. I think that's really important. Going through it, been there, done that, recovered, bought the shirt, made the shirt, right? Awesome. Okay. Hi all. Hey Rebecca Chu. Stefan, what's up, buddy? Oh yeah, Stefan won the contest that I had for um drawing a person's name from a hat, and he got for this month. I totally forgot about making an update on that. Feel like shit. Understatement of the year. Exorcism in multiple hells. Love it, man. You're gonna move forward in leaps and bounds. The more exorcisms you allow and don't white knuckle through and feel, the more you're doing the work. The more you're building that leverage. And I know when you're going through hell, it seems like this is what I used to say. Just because you feel symptoms and you feel like shit does not mean that you're not right. Just because right here you feel like shit, right, does not mean work isn't being done. That the finish line isn't moving closer to you, right? The less you do this, the more you feel like shit, right? And then ah, that's what happens. All right, cool. Next one. The stop thing did not work at all for me. Yeah, I hear you. Allowing it was the thing that worked exactly. And oh, I could talk about the whole DNRS thing. I got kicked off that program because I was bringing that up, and um, the moderators were like, "That goes against our community guidelines, so you're gonna have to really be mind." Then they would edit my shit, and I was like, "That's not what I said. That's not right." And then I ended up getting kicked off, and I'm like, okay, well, too bad, because that's where I got stuck in my journey. Right in the beginning, DNRS was a great stepping stone, and I will always be grateful for that. Um, I started healing physically for the first 8 months. It was magical. I started getting leverage. I was able to do things more easily. Right, I was able to do the work more easily. But then the work, I got stuck in the work, and it didn't make sense. The work. So this is where I had to become my guinea pig, experiment, fall on my face. I find the dare response. I find um, the ERP methods. I experiment on myself. I get help from Simona. She's been through things here and I start seeing patterns, and you figure it out, and then and not so many people figure that. I must have had some help from above with my higher self, my guides, or all of them at once, because I was lucky. And the thing is, allowing, sure, you get relief here, but it's something that you have to keep doing, right? And this is where faith, right? This is where your spirituality. For me, it's spirituality. Some other person, whatever it is that you believe, use that to help you cross that bridge, because that's what I needed, right? Even though I was doing these new methods and I was finally getting unstuck, I was still having the shit days, right? The OCD looping thoughts actually got more intense at times. So it was giving me different messages, right? Because it was resisting. It's like, oh shit, now he's fueled physically. So we ramped up the the mental alarms, but now he's tackling the mental alarms. What the fuck? We got to get more intense. We got to really, right? And baseline was finally, my baseline was coming down, and my bucket was starting to empty. So it got more intense. And when you're feeling intense like that, you think you're doing something wrong. But I still had the faith and the knowing to stick to it no matter what. So I did, and this is where the spirituality came in. I got the golden nuggets of clarity through my visuals, right? Synchronicity is saying, no, 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 keep going, keep going. You're gonna make it. You're gonna make it. I'd have like dreams where somebody would call my name and go, "You're going to be fine," right? I'm like, holy wow, that's you know, my golden nuggets of clarity, my downloads that I was getting spiritually. I was tapping into consciousness through my visuals. Those were one of the most powerful things I ever experienced. The first time, right? I thought I was spiritual before, and I was not even. I was just, I was just, I was just, faking it, thinking I was. I was like, yeah, I'm spiritual. Yeah, yeah. Not at all, man. This is where you're forced. You're on your face. This is a gift. It's forcing you to dig deep next. Oh, I whistled again. It's forcing you to dig deep and experience yourself, your true authentic self from within. I whistled again, and that's magical, right? You start to really. It's literally like magic, right? You're hitting different vibrations and frequencies that you might have heard of that I knew existed, but I was actually getting information and it was helping me on my journey. And in the beginning, I wasn't getting it because my brain's the cock blocker. It's the gatekeeper for me tapping into my spirituality. And I was able to bring it down enough for it to open up for me to, for it not to cock block me as much and for me to tap in. Yeah, so thanks for that, Cece. That's good. Been doing the work and almost feeling terrible 7 days a week. Yep, that's normal, man. Just think. Some people say, I've been doing this for 2 weeks. I feel like shit. What's going on? Like the journey of recovery. You're not doing it to get relief. You're doing it. It's going to be hard. It's a shit show, right? That's why I say it's a shit show. It's exorcisms. I almost said aneurysms. Exorcisms every day. So, and just think, I was dealing with this every day for 2.5 years, right? I was also more extreme. I had 70 symptoms, but the OCD looping thoughts and, the whole mental alarm thing, and my gut issues too, right? It was lingering. It was lingering around. So just remember when you're like at month 3 and you're going, why do I feel like shit still? Why is it getting more intense? Why is it, just think, well, Hamid had to do it for 2.5 years, right? And if you think about it, that's not that long. That's actually fucking fast. If you think about all the years of bullshit life put you through, right? Let's say 30 years of shit that you've been through, that you all those years programmed you in a state of fight or flight. 30 years, right? And then, you get out of it after 2.5, 3 years. That's fucking lightning speed. That's fast. Also consider that you're doing the right methods too. There's people that have been stuck for years because they keep stop, and resisting, right? Zeus, you're going to feel like crap before you feel better. But yes, love it. Thank you. That's why I love everybody, because everybody's there to support each other and help each other out. I love it. Did you say do not do the DNRS stop? No, I stopped doing the stop, right? In the beginning, I did it. I did the whole stop. My brain is in a rut. Right, I had this whole rap thing that I was saying. I knew it off by heart, and the way they were saying it was, the gist of it. Generally, it depends. Some coaches, if you ask them, they tweaked it a bit. They're like, no, just acknowledge it and then slowly redirect. Christine, she was the one in the DNRS, one of the coaches that actually was doing a little bit of a version of allowing, but the rest was like, no, distract. No, you need to distract and you need to catch it and then redirect. right? So we want to redirect because we're creating new neural pathways, right? And then they would say things like, um, create a opposite, right? And at the time, I was sitting there, okay, like what kind of opposite can I make? Um, so I would get into making up a opposite is like the opposite of what you're feeling. So you're sitting there trying to talk to your brain out of that thought. So if it's saying, Helmet, that injury or that feeling that you have down there, it's probably going to tear. You're going to have to go to the hospital, and it's probably, you ate something poisonous or whatever. I don't fucking know, right? Fill in the blanks, X, Y, Z, and then you got to make a pop sit and go, well, no, technically that wouldn't happen because, how many times have we been through this? And every time, right? So really, this isn't gonna. It's you got to make sure, like, so you're searching, right? You're analyzing and searching for a way to counter that thought and neutralize it by making a deal with it in a way. And you could be there for hours and days trying to find a opposite, but that brings resistance, right? The brain doesn't want you to fucking deal. That doesn't work, right? If it goes, oh yeah, it's the sun's gonna is gonna crash to the earth tomorrow, and you go, well, technically not because it's been for thousands of years. The sun, like, it doesn't care about that because at the end of the day, the content of the thought is irrelevant, right? So you just allow the thought to be there, take away the resistance, let it do its thing, and engage. Don't ruminate. Don't try to figure it out. Don't do a opposite, right? All the time, people are wasting time trying to negotiate with their brain, is building up resistance. Baseline goes up, you loop, you're back into the cycle. So, yeah, I had to stop doing the stop, 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 right? And I started changing things to allow, let it do its thing, let it go wild, let it run wild, and ask for more. Even didn't work for me at all. I don't know about DNRS, but I did another program that teaches that. I had to allow and all the shitty thoughts and sensations. You got it. CC, loving it. Your boss is a shithead. Yeah, I think one of these days, uh, my boss will see this and go, "Oh my god, I thought you were kind of cool, Helmet. Like, really? I hope he's not talking about me. Ugh. Like, I wasn't bad with him, was I? Oh my god, now I'm using his program. Oh my god, what the fuck? I hope. Oh my god, now I'm gonna ruminate on it. Oh my god, ah. Anyway, here we go. All right, excellent way to describe indifference. You graduate to it. Can't just pull it out of the thin air. No, you won't. It's so true. And I remember there was a couple of gurus that would say that just be indifferent, fucking just why are you fear drives it. Well, yeah, I know fear drives it. So stop being scared, be indifferent. Go live life. I'm like, you can't. You don't have a choice. The amygdala is driving. You're in the back seat. Right? It doesn't trust that you're gonna be able to fight off these ligers, so it has to sit in the front seat and do it for you. It's a defense system. It's there to keep you alive, and it's doing an amazing job. I have Michelle French. Hey, how's it going, Michelle? I have food sensitivity, but I've never cut foods. Should you do that to bring your bucket down and to do the work? Yes, that's a good question, right? Because people think, well, if you're cutting things out, you're doing avoidance behaviors. And isn't that reaffirming to the brain that that's dangerous, right? Doesn't make sense. So just chill out and eat the fucking pizza, right? So in the TMS world, you might see that, but realistically, when we're in a heightened state of fight or flight at 1,000, our bucket's full, alarms are on, the brain is perceiving danger. If you went ahead, if I right the first week of this, the first month, first year, if I went ahead and ate that tomato because I wanted to send the right message, I would have been fucked again. 3 weeks bloody diarrhea, right? I would have been in a constant flare. I just would have re-traumatized my system. It was just pouring, fanning the fire, pouring gasoline all over it. That doesn't work like that. So what you do is you slowly for that year and a half. That's what I had to do. I had to stay on my coping mechanism, safe foods, for a year and a half. Rice and beef. That's it. And apples eventually. and bring the loads down, right? Empty those fucking loads and bring that baseline down until it got to a point where I could start training on foods where I would still have reactions and flares, but they weren't as intense as in the beginning and they would last a couple of days instead of 3 weeks, right? And then I got confident and I would drag out my flares. But that came in time. You don't do that right away because you'll find out, right? Um, so the best thing to do, you don't want to put too much pressure on your baseline because it's going to skyrocket. So you want to get your safe foods, stick to them for however it takes. You'll know. Wait till that baseline comes down. Do the work every day, right? And then start training on foods. And then you ease yourself in there and you start working on foods that are easier on the spectrum. Don't jump on fucking chili right away. Don't go, oh my God, I'm ready to train. Let's do this. Okay, let's have 18 jalapenos, right? Doesn't work like that. That's a bad idea. How about start with cucumbers? Start with apples, right? Um, Celery, you might want to wait. Celery for some, I would, that's why I couldn't do um, the medical medium bullshit because it's all a fucking scam. I couldn't do the celery because I reacted to that. Fuck, I remember buying all this celery. What a waste of. I wasted so much food. Fuck. All right, here we go. Kendrick F. Exposure has been helping me a lot. But how does nutrient deficiencies be fixed? Okay, so when you're in a state of fight or flight, I think I already talked about this earlier. When you're in a state of fight or flight, your body's not working with ease and it's not absorbing, you know, um, fully to its optimal, you know, it's not working efficiently. So that's going to happen. I had that, right? But you do your best. Don't try to fix it, ruminate, analyze on it too much. Um, and you do your best. You just keep doing the work because we don't want to ruminate and try to figure it out too much because that brings the baseline up and that keeps the deficiencies going because you keep pushing yourself in a survival state. So the body isn't working efficiently again. You see how that works? How that, So allow it to be there. Let it do its thing. Have more deficiencies. Go, you know what? I want to get fatigued. I want my left leg to be fatigued for another 3 weeks. Let's do it. Yeah. Team. Right? And demand it to be there. Build your indifference. And then their baseline finally comes down. And when it comes down, things kind of go, uh, right? You start being drunk noodles or overcooked noodles, right? You're more likely to get good circulation and absorption of your nutrients and the kidney and the liver. The liver is gonna detox these, right? Cosby, it's gonna detox. Everything's gonna work. Your gut's gonna finally be in rest and digest because it's not in the an alarm state. So I wouldn't I wouldn't overanalyze that too much. Just like everything else, right? Unless it's something with anything else, I always say, if it's an emergency situation, always get checked, get a local look see over, just so that when you're going into this journey, you get your bases covered. And this also works when you start to ruminate. You go, well, no, we got that looked at, so we can't. Let's not go down that rabbit hole again, okay? Let's move forward, right? So that's what I did. I got a bunch of tests done. I got looked over. All right, let's move forward. I slipped and I went back and got those tests done again and again and again, right? I'm human. I'm sure you guys understand. And then eventually, I moved forward and I trusted, right? And I allowed the symptoms to do their thing. All right. I'm tired of losing weight, even though I eat a good bit. Plus, I have a weird, long. I started getting out of seeing all kinds of weird. Yeah, I know what you mean. It was scary for me too because I was at 170. I wasn't 170 since high school, right? And I was getting thin. I haven't been this thin. Like this is weird clothing. Like this is a different reality. I mean, my mom was like, "Elmo, you're getting thin. I don't like. You need to eat more. Start. Why aren't you eating? You have some sort of problem. Why are you not eating? Why are you? It's because you're scared. You have anxiety, Elmo." I'm like, dude, you don't get it. And then I finally had to give in and do what she was telling me to do. And then she saw, oh fuck, this is that is weird. Why are you doing? I don't. Right? And then she started to get it. All right. You'll get your muscles back. Trust me. You just Got to stick to the work, do it every day, right? You gain your leverage, you become indifferent, everything will get back online. Trust me. Um, how do you do the retraining, allow and engage, etc., when you need to manage it, but can't do anything else? I have to stretch all day to get trapped burps out, or else the symptoms get so much worse. Burping, like you have like like if you drink pop, you burp. You see, do stretching. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable. That's the thing with this process. You have to learn to get uncomfortable. You have to learn to be scared. You have to learn to let the symptoms show their true face and expose yourself and sit in the danger, sit in the fear. Don't white knuckle. And it takes practice because the first 10 times or the first 5 times, you know, it's scary. It sucks, but you will start to care less and be indifferent, right? And that's when you give it the opportunity to relax and these symptoms go as a consequence, right? We're not trying to, these methods isn't to get rid of anything, because when you get rid of something, what are you getting rid of? Danger. So if you're trying to get rid of danger, the brain goes, oh, there's danger there. Let's keep the alarms on. Let's keep those symptoms on, right? These methods work kind of weird because it's like we're trying to get you to stop fighting your symptoms and your fears. We want you to not have fears to your symptoms anymore so that you can finally, your nervous system baseline can finally calm down, and then the symptoms regulate as a consequence of that. It's kind of like the side door way of doing things. All right. Yes, bench presses. That's it. Thank you. All right. Another issue I have is that hinders my recovery is I still have fear over these weird crepitus noises popping from joints. Oh, I had that too. I had that in my skull actually. I never had until I had fibromyalgia. I had that in my knee, skull, my ankle. Um, where else? Oh, even my head. Like I used to wake up and my head would pop and I would be like paralyzed for like 10 seconds. And it'd be like this sharp shooting, say that 10 times, sharp shooting pain going down my spine. Weird. It was like no, not a pain. It was a zap. That fucking scared the crap out of me. If I allowed it, let it do its thing, and trust that eventually everything will go back online. Everything will be, and everything will thrive and be strong and right. You're gonna be a beast. Trust me. I have a managed Carlina Ramos. Are you the same? Oh yeah, Carlina's got a lot of questions. That's good. Make noises and present and feel snapples of my tendons. Like yeah, like I said, just allow it to be. Don't ruminate on it because you're just firing the baseline, right? D. Perkins. One of the symptoms is muscle weakness. Been working on strengthening my muscles, but I am sending a message of fear that I won't ever get strength back. Right. So you have to expose yourself to that fear, right? Become indifferent to it, and bring your baseline down, uh, and also your loads, and the weakness will go away. I get so tired and stiff in the yeah. This is I'm hopeful and frustrated at the same time. I know it's not a good combo, right? So you're aware of it. That's good. That's the first thing, being aware of it. Um, but you have to catch it when you do it and change it and keep changing it every time. Keep catching it, keep changing it. You have to be persistent, right? Isn't that one like a one-time thing where you catch it? No, I did visuals on Tuesday for 10 seconds. I hate it. It's stupid. Program sucks. Sorry to say. Not good. And I shouldn't have to do visuals because I said so. So, yeah, no. No, you have to stick to the program. You got to do it every day. Do the work or else you're not going to move forward. You can't reprogram something if you don't reprogram something, right? All right, Helmut, how'd you deal with family or friends who didn't give two shits about you doing you during your I've been through that. I know family, friends, um, people in general. First of all, I kept it to myself, and it worked out perfectly because it was during COVID. So I told people I was dealing with heavy duty anxiety, and a lot of people were right, and so they understood. And I didn't blame it on anybody. I just kept it, and I didn't say what I was actually dealing with. Oh yeah, by the way, I have 70 symptoms, and I have food sensitive. I have two safe foods because they'd be like, "Dude, you're fucked. You're okay. You're full of shit, dude. You're just looking for attention." You're like, I didn't give them that bait. I didn't. So I just said, "Yeah, I'm dealing with heavy duty anxiety." Right? I lied to a lot of people, and I kept it a secret. And I kept also what I was doing, the work that I was doing, a secret. Because if you tell people, they'll throw it in your face and say it's not working, you're stupid, you should do this, and trust me, I'm trying to help you. Doubt, 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 you'll get. And it just sabotages your journey. So I had to, I'm just kind of like fortune tell and go, okay, if I do this, this is the outcome. And I'm taking my journey of recovery very seriously. And I don't want to argue with people, right? People that, kicked me when I was down. I will remember, I see what you're doing. I don't have the strength to fight back right now and get justice right now. I'm working on myself first. So what I would do is I go, I see it. I get angry, frustrated, sad, right? Hurt, but I would allow those feelings, and you know what? It fueled my recovery. I was like, I'm gonna overcome this. I'm gonna get justice, and secretly, I wanted a little bit of revenge. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not perfect, man. Sometimes I like a little revenge. So, and I got it, and I celebrated it a little bit. But then after, I was like, okay, moving on with life. But so yeah, people are gonna kick you when you're down. Allow the feelings that are associated with it, but don't fight back. It's not worth it. It's gonna waste your energy, and let it fuel your recovery. Don't tell anybody what you're doing, because that's what I made sure not to tell anybody, because people will throw it in your face and give you, right. They'll give you doubts, um, and silent, like just like Snoop Dogg says, if you're gonna do, like other gurus say this too, yo, do something, go big, but keep it a secret. And once you're big already, you can say it on the top of the mountain. But people, by then, it'll be, people already see it. Like create that vortex around you, and everybody's gonna be right. Don't tell anybody. I'm gonna do a vortex. Watch me. I know this. You shouldn't be doing that. You got to brain retrain. That's blah, 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 blah. This is what you got. Don't be one of those guys, right? Focus on yourself. When people kick you when you're down, remember, but let it go, right? Feel the feelings, let it go, and let that fuel your recovery. Because one day you're going to be thriving, feeling better than you ever did in the past 30 years, right? And that's how you win. Zeus. Hey, Zeus. I did medical medium for almost 1 year. Did not experience, yeah, it's horse shit. Um, it's physically exhausting to keep doing stretches all day. Yeah, stop the stretches. Allow yourself to burp. Let it do its thing. Right? It's when you are trying to stop it, that's the resistance. That's not allowing. And then engage in life. If you're burping, you got to burp 20 times. All right, but engage in life. You have your routine. Follow the program. Follow it to a T, because I explain everything in there. All right. I started recording my fear paragraphs on my phone. Yes, which was hard because I don't like my recorder. All right, so maybe get a different recorder and start doing it. Get triggered and sit in that fear. Allow it to do its thing and bring that alarm state down to a zero. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. It's been about an hour or so. Um, did I talk about? I was gonna talk about the carnivore diet. You know what? That'll be the next topic. Yeah, I'll talk about that next. The reason I did the tapping thing, exposure on turbo. Juicing Surly sent my baseline to 4 million. Yeah, fucking right. And straight to ER. Yep, I hear you. It's all horse shit. Medical Medium is a scam artist. He made a ton of money. Awesome. Um, well, I did a video about the carnivore diet and how I see it. So you can watch that. So next time, you know what? It'll be the next topic. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you for the support and being there. If anybody wants any coaching, June will be, since, everybody's going through tough times, I'm going to bring it to $75. You're going to be with a loving group, community that's there to support you. 10 heads are better than one. So get at me in my email. I'll put it in the bottom when I post this after. Alrighty. Sounds good. Have a good night, guys. Enjoy your weekend.